You're listening to Rockland News, available on Apple, Spotify, and online at rocklandnews.com. Thanks for joining us today. Here are your hosts, Tom Osa and Mike Kluger.
All right, we are back with AM Rockland's News, and we are having a lot of interviews and guests on this morning. I think 4 already.
I know. This is our third stop and pause and get back into it.
Yep.
But we are here with the Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady is on the show with us today once again on AM Rockland's News this morning. Tom, how you doing, man?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had you on the show a few times. We're really happy that we have somebody that can talk about sports because we really just don't know what we're doing when it comes to sports. We know that we need a sports show, but the fact that we have an expert such as yourself, Tom Brady, that's able... No, I'm sorry.
And not the number 12 of lore in your...
Exactly. This is Tom Brady, our Tom Brady in Rockland County, who has a sports performance coaching company locally in Rockland County, and he's all things sports. So, Tom, thanks for being on Rockland's News once again. I'm going to call you Thomas.
Nah, Tom's good.
Tom's good? Okay, brother, you got it. So how you been? You were on the show a few weeks ago. We're happy to have you back on. How's things been?
Things going good. Business and work are always going crazy this time of year. We got a lot of people, especially as all trainers get those people that want to lose a few pounds at the beginning of the year, and then continue working with any athlete that's ready to reach the postseason. All the winter athletes are ready to reach the postseason, and then resume their training real quick. The spring athletes are in preseason mode, ready to go in season mode very, very soon. So a lot going on. A lot going on in the sports world too. We just had a little bit of a football game this past Sunday nationally.
That's right.
It's just a wee football game.
So, but even I don't think you have to be the biggest of experts. I think that game pretty much played out the exact way a lot of people thought it would.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Seattle was just a little bit better right across the board than New England. New England's defense played fantastic, kept them in the game, but Seattle was just a little bit too much in the end, and then it turned out to be who made the first mistake to put the game away, and then it was the turnovers that did in New England. But it's still a great year for New England. Going into the fourth quarter, it was still close game. So, that's all you could ask if your favorite team's not playing. Just, keep it close. I know a lot of people like the high-scoring offensive games, but I'm a defensive coach, so that was my type of game. I loved it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep.
So seeing a 9-0 halftime score, I was probably, one of the only happy people in America watching that.
I was pretty amazed. And, the thing that I took away from it is that particular game, even though the score, and I actually like when it's a low scoring game because there's a lot of there's a tension in the air. It's like this can still be won by either side. But the thing that I found was there was a lot of instant replays trying to see if the ball, when it either got intercepted or caught, did it hit the ground? And there was a few plays like that where it was literally within a few millimeters whether the ball hit the grounds before the receiver could gain control. And I was amazed by that.
Yeah. And, that's where technology is kind of, helping sports a little bit. And, let's get the call right is pretty much the battle call for that. So, the refs, and also it shows you how hard the ref's job is trying to make that call when they're going full speed,
Right.
I think instant replay has given, the general public a new respect for referees instead of us just yelling at them when they throw a flag. But yeah, it was definitely a few calls that could have went either way. And just like you said, it was tight enough, tense enough game where everybody knew and everybody sensed one big play, whether it was a mistake or somebody who made a big play, was going to turn that game around real quick.
Exactly. Yeah. And it came down just to a few key plays. And I think, Sam Darnold, did an amazing job. Obviously, locally, Jets fans are going to be rooting for Sam Darnold. He did a solid game. And, I can't even say anything bad about the Patriots quarterback. what's his name again? I don't even.
Yeah, Drake May.
Drake May. Yeah,
Yep.
I can't even say. He did the best he could, and he's a young quarterback, so we might see him again in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, yeah. You would hope and you would think. A lot of people are already talking about the whole Dan Marino syndrome. One of the greatest quarterbacks ever made it in his second year, and he never got back. So it's
that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very, very difficult game to get to. Just because you see somebody there early, this whole society right now, we're all in the Patrick Mahomes mode. Like, oh yeah, you made it once and you're good. You're going to be there again. Don't worry.
Yeah, it is never a guarantee, especially at the beginning.
And even right before Patrick Mahomes, you have that whole Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. I'm just going to go to another team and win it again.
Yeah,
as they both did.
Yep. Exactly. So, those are special type of guys. So you have to realize, Drake May is only 23, 24. Mm-hmm. Is he on that level? We don't know, but he's definitely off to a great start in his career. Yeah. And he did struggle. Most of that was Seattle's defense. Let's tip our cap to them first. And then, but offensively, New England, he showed a little deficiencies, some things that, he needs to work on and improve on. So, the Patriot fans hope he does that in this offseason. They get him one or two more weapons, and, they got a great coach, which is, in football, coaching is probably the sport where coaching has the most effect of any sport. So they got their guys, and they hope they have their next Belichick Brady connection up there. But
exactly. Yeah.
But it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, you mentioned that you're a defensive guy. So you're looking at the formations out there. You got if I'm recalling my my Madden video games on PlayStation, you got your nickel, you got your dime, so you have formations that are basically to just withstand the offensive attack. So what did you see from your perspective watching the game? How did the Seahawks line up? How were they able to overcome? It seemed like the O-line was just cracking at the seams all the way through. So what was the defensive strategy from your perspective looking at it?
They knew exactly where Drake May was going to look. They knew his first and second reads. And you saw the couple times that they played a zone, they shifted the zone opposite to where their left tackle definitely struggled and didn't have a good game. And Seattle took advantage of that with a lot of sacks and a lot of pressures. So you can see how they once he understands where the pressure is coming from, a young guy is going to feel that and obviously move the opposite direction. So you can shift your coverage knowing that he's not going to throw backside to that side where the pressure is coming from. So when you take away 10 to 15% of the field, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a huge amount. And that's basically what they did. They took away his field of vision to the pressure side that was coming. So it limited his looks. So if one of his primary guys was running a route on that side, he was taken out before the play even started because, again, their left tackle just did not have the greatest game.
And you said before it even started, and that brings me to an old story of giant Super Bowl winning giant Osi Umenyiora. Before he went and the Giants defeated the Patriots back in 2007, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Osi was watching so much tape a couple of weeks before the Super Bowl that he noticed that Tom Brady had a tell. And he went and he told all the defensive ends. He told Michael Strahan, Chris Carr, Justin Tuck. And as we saw, they murderized that offensive line.
There was murderization there, without a doubt.
That happened before the game even started.
Mm-hmm.
It happened because those athletes, not just training their bodies, but learning the strategies, watching the tape, learning what their opponents do.
Yep.
Because there is this athleticism part, but there's also a mental part of the game as well.
There absolutely is a mental part.
So I bet you the Seattle Seahawks defense was ready to win that game before they even stepped on the field.
Yeah, and you're probably right with that. And then they just sensed the blood in the water once they saw the tackle. Like, they probably had more of after the first couple, drives, I don't know how many plays New England ran. It was 3 and out. Then they got 1 first down, then 3 and out. I don't think they crossed the 50-yard line in the first half. Mm-hmm. And, you could sense that Seattle's defense, it was, they sensed the blood in the water, and they were pinning their ears back and going for them. Exactly what you're talking about. Like that when, I believe that was the number one reason why the Giants upset the Patriots that year was the defensive line. They were the only people to, make Brady hesitate for that split second, whether they hit him or whether they sacked him, but they were in his face all game.
Exactly.
And that's all you need to do to a quarterback is throw him off his rhythm just a little bit. And you got him where you want him, but, and you still have to execute, but that's a major first step for a defense.
And that's the biggest job of the O-line, is to obviously protect the QB for as long as possible so that he can make the intelligent decision and the skill to put the ball in the right hands and just get it to the goal. And the other thing that I found is it didn't seem like the O-line was deteriorating the entire time for the Patriots, because there was a lot of times where, QB was hanging out in the pocket, and it was really that secondary on the D-line that was basically just harassing, like you said, his line of sight.
Yeah. Their defensive backfield and their coverage scheme was excellent. Even when he had the time, there wasn't anybody open. And, and for a young quarterback in a game like that, again, it was one of those games where you can't take, the chance of threading a ball in there, because one turnover would have turned that game around. It could have been over in the first half. So you're better off.
They had a Derek Lassick.
Yeah.
Derek Lassick, we were talking about that last time.
Yeah.
Well, I got to bring this back to Rockland somehow.
Yep.
And, I'm a North Rockland guy, so football is kind of like, I can't help it. I was a band kid and I love football.
Are you telling us we can't talk about the Super Bowl anymore?
We can, but like what I would like to address is that we do create a lot of athletes from the Rockland County school system.
Yes.
And Tom trained some of them, I'm presuming, and wanted to talk about his business while he's sitting here talking about the big game. Like, we have pro level athletes in Rockland County. Some of them have gone through RCC. Some of them play at Rockland Boulders, one of our sponsors.
True.
And if you are in that place where you're trying to get to that next level, where you're like almost the best in your school, maybe you need to go talk to Tom and get a leg up and edge up in both your physicality and your mental state.
Yeah. How would people get in touch with you, Tom? We're going to talk some local sports too, but how would people get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is strength coach TJB. That's Tom Joy Boy at gmail.com. And I'll get back to you ASAP. And you guys are right. Like, the difference with athletes is the people who, get in that weight room and get back on the field, postseason, preseason, off season, and get their stuff done. And, I think I mentioned it last time. That's the difference of the athlete you see today compared to when we were in high school, is the kids are doing sports performance almost year round. So they're a little bit quicker. And the speed of the game is the one change that I've seen. I see guys that are still the same size, slightly bigger today due to, some good science, and the kids hit the nutrition a lot earlier.
Yeah.
But the speed of the game on every level is probably 5 steps ahead of when I played.
And in every game. And in every game.
Even video games, quite frankly.
Right.
I know that the young guns are taking me down lately. I'm 50 years old.
You are no longer playing Pac-Man and Space Invaders.
Seriously. I'm happy to get in the top 5 of a Gran Turismo driving race online. I'm happy with that. But so, Tom, local sports, and you and I talked about this a little bit. I'm really enthusiastic about it. And Mike and I spoke about this before. We're actually going to start doing mobile podcasts.
Yes.
We had already announced the Small Business Spotlight mobile podcast, which we're doing on Tuesdays at 4:30 in the afternoon here on AM Rockland's News. But Tom, and if you'd like to announce this, you're going to be doing a local boots on the ground podcast. Let's talk about that. What do you envision?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go around and help not only the facilities that I work with, but because I work with all local owned, businesses, and I think that's our goal. Anytime you're in the media, that's your goal, is to help out everybody around you.
Right.
Help out your neighbor, help out the person who owns. If your neighbor owns a pizza place, that's probably where you're ordering your pizza from. So. We do have a big grand opening of one of the facilities I work with, Way More Fitness in New City, and their grand opening is the end of the month.
Right.
So with that being said, we're trying to get the podcast up and set up to run out of there while we're having the grand open all day that Friday. And let me just pull up the exact date.
What's the calendar date? And we'll make sure that we have everything set up for you.
Yeah, that's Friday the 27th. And it's Main Street, New City, Way More Fitness.
Way More Fitness, Friday, February 27th. I'm actually putting it in my calendar here just so that, because there's so much happening in such a short period of time. And what time you said?
The main, the ribbon cutting is going to be around 2:30, 3 o'clock. However, all day we're going to be running specials. I'll be there with them, but Brian and Jeremy, the owners, they're going to have like free 15-minute consultations and training with a trainer. They're going to have like a free boot camp. They're going to have stuff going on all day long. So just pop in. If you're definitely in your Clarkstown area, especially if you're looking for a gym to start 2026, this is a small studio feel, but it is a gym setup. So it might be comfortable for the people that don't like going to those big box gyms.
100%. Yeah. And there's merits, there's benefits and detriments to each. But I know some really cool people that have just like considerably turned their life into one of fitness from local sporting establishments. I'm going back like about 15 years. I used to train with Steve Eckert from Peak Physique Personal Training. He's a Marine that basically went into personal training. And I mean, I remember back in the day, Mike and Tom, where we were just taking them weight belts and putting them on and literally just going straight up the Ramapo Mountains, and just like we weren't singing like the Seven Dwarfs. We were just like just slogging it through. No weaponry, but it was good. Major camaraderie happening there, major, and I really appreciate it. I learned something.
Now, I did want to mention to our listeners and citizens that if you are not training to be an athlete and you have this discovered the sport of pickleball, there are places for you to go, since this is our Rockland County sports program.
I know.
Now, I am not saying that Tom cannot help you if you are an older person. What I'm saying is, if you have gotten into pickleball, not only have the county officials really hopped on board with this, there are some municipal places you can go where you can first come, first serve.
Oh, yeah.
But if you wanted to schedule a court, coming very soon, and I drove by there just the other day, is the New York Pickleball Club.
That's right. We did an interview with the New York Pickleball Club. Mike did the interview
at Kobe Sushi,
which is one of our sponsors. Thank you, Kobe Sushi in New City, New York. And we have that interview that's going to be coming up next week on AM Rockland's News once again. So I'm excited, but bringing it back to Tom here. So just a variety of sports, not just football, pickleball, obviously. And, what other sports are people training for? You mentioned that this is the preseason where people are getting limber, they're stocking up and they're beefing up. What other sports are out there where people are training for?
The two big ones the three big ones this time of year is baseball, lacrosse, and track.
Yep.
So everybody right now is in their preseason mode. Their off-season conditioning's done. They're in preseason mode. Some of them have, because we have indoor facilities, some of them have already started practice. Baseball teams sometimes are traveling down south within the next week or two, with some of the schools off next week. So they'll be playing their first games soon. Some of the local high schools. So they are all preseason, ready to shift to in-season training. It's all different types of training, and they're ready to go. So what we're looking at, what hits the calendar next, is going to be the first step for the winter athletes, which is their first step would be their postseason, which is basically a physical analysis. Like, did you come out of the season healthy?
Nice.
And if you have that ankle that you rolled every other week, well, you know what? We need to make sure that's 100% before we do anything intense. And that is what holds people back. during the season. How many times you see it? Somebody rolls their ankle the first week of the season, nothing major. They're still playing, but you just noticed they played 80, 90% the whole year.
Well, if you guys are poor Jets fans, you had that with Aaron Rodgers after 5 plays and $75 million.
Yes.
Exactly.
Very true. Very true.
So it doesn't just happen to the youngins and the young folk. It happens to superstars, because the next season when he got traded, sorry Jets fans, he did awesome. Relatively, right?
Yeah, he had a good season. Yeah, a very good season with the Steelers this year. So very unfortunate. But yeah, so we are winding down the winter sports season, and I know you guys want to stay definitely tuned into local. So being that I'm actually in the Clarkstown area. One of my daughters plays JV basketball for Clarkstown girls, and they play a playoff game Friday night in Pearl River. But the boys varsity basketball team for Clarkstown North is something to keep your eyes on. They are having a season that it could be one of the best in program history. Right now they're on a 9-game winning streak. Their overall record, I think they're 12-2.
Wow.
They are up there with Suffern, North Rockland. Tappan Zee is the best in the county. I
heard Tappan Zee is actually doing really well. Their girls team is doing really well this season.
Yes, yeah, the girls team's doing excellent. As I think they always do down there. They're pretty much known for that girls basketball team. So, but when the conference and when the section finals end up, a team out of Rockland, one of those 4 I just mentioned, the Clarkstown North, Suffern, Tappan Zee, or North Rockland boys basketball, whoever comes out of this section is definitely the ones to keep your eye on to cause some problems in the state tournament. So if you're around, look at your local schedule. If you're from one of those towns, go support those teams, and you'll be impressed with the level of talent that you see. I've gone to like 3 or 4 of the boys games, and I can't tell you, they're amazing. Like, one of the kids is going to play basketball in college. Another one's going to run track in college. Another one's going to play quarterback in college. So they're amazing athletes. A great bunch of guys too. The whole school loves them. So it's definitely something to keep your eye on. Obviously, I have a little bit more of a rooting interest for Clarkstown North, but
that's all right. We'll hold it down in North Rockland. So we can communicate about various things.
I believe North Rockland is like 15-2. They're having like a crazy good season too. Yeah. So these 4 teams are, my computer's loading right now. I'm trying to pull up the section. Here we go. North Rockland is 7-0 in the section and 14-2 overall.
Okay.
Suffern 6-1. Clarkstown North is in 3rd place, 3-1. They have a few more section games, but Clarkstown North on a 9-game winning streak. So these teams, 14-2, 17-2, 12-2. Those are records of these 3 teams. So it's definitely, if you live one of those towns, hop behind these teams and go support them. And whoever comes out of the county, let's all get behind it and support for the state tournament.
100%.
Now, when we talked with Seth from Boulder Stadium, Rockland Boulders is one of our sponsors. He talked about some of these players they get a second chance. So one of the things I want to talk to the listeners about is, if you aren't in one of those schools with one of those premier things, or you feel your kid isn't the best here or there or anywhere, it doesn't mean that their dream should be squashed. They might just need to take a more traveled route to go get there, because the local colleges do have good sports teams and are really interested in getting these kids educated, both in sports and with college degrees. And even our local baseball team will look at the talent that is coming into them, that they may not have made it to MLB or into that process, but they have a good time on this team. And in the Frontier League, it seems like the Boulders are doing well.
Boulders, in all seriousness, they just got the AstroTurf, the synthetic turf, I should say, because they don't call it AstroTurf anymore.
Okay,
right. They got the synthetic turf in. That was actually put in the winter.
Okay.
So basically, it's ready to go for next year. So there's some great games over there. They're one of our sponsors here at AM Rockland's News. You can learn more about that team, and the full schedule's out for 2026. at nyboulders.com. We'll be posting that shortly on rocklandevents.com. Tom, before we finish up, are there any other things that you wanted to talk? And we've certainly got to get your contact information once again for our listeners. Anything else also that you wanted to speak on today?
Yeah, I think you were touching on it a little bit before. Like, the best way to get a hold of me, strengthcoachtjb@gmail.com. It's not only the athletes that we talk about, but we see a pickleball club opening up in Clarkstown. We see pickleball fields that were built in Clarkstown a couple of years ago. It's the social sports. So if you find yourself, if you have a desk job and you work 40, 50 hours a week at a desk, you still need to be working and training, because that turns into a huge liability for you on the weekend when you go play 2 or 3 games of pickleball on Saturday, Sunday morning.
Right.
So make sure your body's ready for it. People say, oh, it's not that intense. Well, a tight Achilles tendon turned the wrong way turns into a severe injury that, ruins your life for a year.
Right.
But just
I agree.
yeah. So,
I agree.
make sure your body's ready for it. Get yourself in shape. Again, we talk about, the great athletes, but everybody should be doing something. And then the depending on whatever your activity is, pickleball is a big one. Another big one that's coming around the corner, if and when we ever get rid of winter, is, golf. And golf is an amazingly, people look at it like, oh, yeah, I just go golfing on the weekend. Well, the torque on your spine to swing a golf club is intense. If your body's not ready for it, you can wind up with, a litany of problems. So again, if you're a golfer, give me a call. Let's do an analysis. Let's see where your spine and your hips are a little bit tight.
Yeah.
I want to drive the ball further. And the first thing people do is they go and get a new driver. Well, you spend $1,000 on a new driver, hey, once a week you could be working with me, and then you could have also added another 20, 30 yards on your drive just by getting stronger.
Yeah, actually, I might have a customer for you. My friend Keith actually just went to, we're going to say, a big box, training center and everything, and he was a little unimpressed with the individual that trained him on the golf side of things, and he's looking around. So I might have to get some contact information for you.
Yeah.
My friend Keith. He's a really cool dude.
Absolutely. Give him my name. I'd love to sit down, talk with him, see physically where he's at.
Right.
And, you have to use a starting line from everybody. It doesn't matter what your goal is. Sports or just losing 20 pounds. What's your starting line? We all know our end line. Oh, yeah, I want to do this, this, and this. Fantastic. But where are you right now? And how are we going to get there?
And listeners, this is one of the reasons why we tout the small business, the personal touch, the customization of your needs. That's something you can't get from a big box place of any kind. So in Tom's area, he can really look into what's going on with you and really customize your services.
Yeah.
So when you're making that choice, make a choice of voting with your dollar. Vote small business, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Tom, thank you for joining us on AM Rockland's News' Spotlight for the sports. The sports roundup is what we call it.
Sports roundup.
That's right. So,
yeehaw!
Yeah, exactly. So, get that finishing up music happening right there.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on again, guys.
My pleasure, brother. We'll see you next week.
All right. Take care.
Keep the rockin'.
All right. So we want to thank everybody for joining us on this now 2.5-hour show this morning, Mike.
Oh, wow.
That's almost a record.
It's almost like we had something to say.
We always got something to say. So we want to thank our sponsors. We have Yabu Fence Company.
Yabu!
Also Dana Pest Control located in Tompkins Cove. We got Easy Temp located in Hackensack, New Jersey. Susan Bova, Coldwell Banker Realty, Kobe Sushi, Lauren Molino Muller, Whole Shot Bagels, 99 Signs, FZ Perfection, Clean Space Maintenance Management Company, and the New York Boulders baseball team.
Don't forget Rockland Music. Keep the rockin' Rockland.